I would like to wish everyone a happy new year. I hope everyone's year is off to a good start. Okay. This is our first health webinar of 2026. We had two last year, they went swimmingly. So we will continue to roll out this series every month. So this is brought to you by CASONI, or the Caribbean American Association of New York, and Trinbago Progressive Association of the USA. Okay, I'll give everyone a little bit of a background as to how this series came about for those of you that may be joining us for the first time. Okay, so I think I'll begin by sharing a bit of background. As I mentioned, the webinar or the web series came to be, it was an idea um, with Dr. Beckles, who will be speaking tonight, and also Horace Davis, who is the founder of Casoni. So together they envisioned a free public webinar series designed to strengthen our community's health literacy, promote self-advocacy, and help dispel long-standing misconceptions about important health issues within the Caribbean community especially. Okay. Dr. Beckles has prepared a brief presentation for us. We kindly ask that you hold your questions until the end so we can have a focused and productive discussion. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Beckles. So here's a little bit about Dr. Beckles. He is a Trinidadian-born heart surgeon with over 3 decades of clinical expertise in cardiovascular disease, education, and research. He is the Chief Medical Officer of Trinbago Progressive Association and has teamed up with Casoni, as previously mentioned, to bring clarity, awareness, and knowledge on some very important health conditions that plague our community. Dr. Beckles is a highly respected cardiothoracic surgeon, and we're truly fortunate to have him with us this evening to share his expertise and insights. With that, I will turn it over to Dr. Beckles, and hopefully I did not leave anything out. So
Thank
no
you.
further ado, Dr. Beckles.
Thank you very much, everyone. Great, and Happy New Year to everyone. This is it. This is a strong start. So let's all start strong 2026, right? So this is the health reset. So this is going to be a really intense, webinar because I think we have to start strong to finish strong. All right. So welcome. Today we're going to be honest. We're going to be practical and forward thinking, and what it takes to protect your heart, regain control of your weight, because everybody's thinking about weight. This is January, right? So everybody's thinking about, we got to join a gym. We got to get some weight off, right? Well, we got to build some habits that last. That's really what it's all about. And hopefully you join us for every month on this webinar series to really, by the time we meet next year, you will be a whole transformed person just by having set a good start 2026 to remember. So this is not just another January, prep talk. I think it's going to be a reality check mixed with some real solutions. I'm going to give you what I use for real success, I think. And so Caribbean families in New York City face specific challenges, right? We have a lot of stress. It's disguised as long work hours. If you're a professional, you have limited sleep, you have unique food, culture, generational habits. But I want each of you to know that we have proven resilience and strength to adapt and change to anything that we put our minds to. So today is about clarity, courage, and choice. So let's start. Let's get strong here. So these are my disclosures. And again, I'm going to say that the Harvard Wellness Wheel reminds us again that health is holistic. It's not just one thing, but January is not just about weight, it's about heart. And I want you to think of wellness in 8 dimensions. Every component helps the other one. So think about health in 8 dimensions. So for our Black and Caribbean communities, spirituality, social connections, like being on this, webinar, it's really powerful health protectors. Attending church, joining a choir, volunteering, participating in a lot of community groups, that all helps to gives us the strength mentally and emotionally, which helps our overall physical health. Believe it or not, it works. So keep up the community, engagements. 80% of health, as you can see here, 80% is basically happens of our health happens outside of the hospital or medical setting. So just think about that for a second, because this is very important that we shouldn't really rely on hospitals. Yes, when you're sick, you go to a hospital, right? That's great. But 80% of your health, of my health, is determined by what happens. It's outside the hospital, where you live. Look at it here. If you got, education, your job status, your family support, your income, really, we could pin it down to your zip code. So 50% could be traced back to your zip code, where you live, where we're born, where we're raised. What did these things determine our behavior, believe it or not. And hence 40% of our health, you can see here 10% is the physical environment, not too much, but another 30% comes from our behaviors. Like, this is what we're going to be talking: diet, exercise, alcohol abuse, tobacco use. And healthcare is really only 20%, just having access to care. And those are the things we talk about, just getting your ABCs checked and your screenings. But that's what you should use healthcare and access for. Now, just to give you an example of that, community moves us, right? So for some of us, we went to school in the Caribbean, we worked in the Caribbean lifestyle, right? We walked on these beaches, it's great, right? And we hardly even heard of people working on a Saturday and a Sunday. Saturday and Sunday used to be church, beach lime, family gatherings. It didn't have snow, and you have to get up and shovel snow and put on winter coats, right? But then we migrate from a warm climate to this cold climate, right? We encounter a city lifestyle. We joined the rat race, right? We adapted because why? Because everybody was doing it, right? So stress increased tremendously as inflation and cost living, it multiplies. So stress, as I showed you last time, it multiplies the chronic diseases right under it. So it causes us to eat more processed foods than provisions. Think about it. We started taking up shifts on weekends, nights, hours. Our sleep got deprived, right? It got destroyed. Our sleep cycles got destroyed with the working habits, right? No time to cook. Convenience dominated. And I would say 50% so far, according to all the stats out there, 50% of people actually cook one meal a week, believe it or not. So January, this is the most powerful reset, right? Point in the calendar. And I think today's session is going to focus on what everybody's mind is on: losing a few pounds, losing a few weight, because all it really takes is just losing 10 or 15 pounds, and it can really reset your entire metabolic system. All right, and I'll show you some proof of that. So this is also tied to my previous talks, talk about A1C, for diabetes, talk about blood pressure control for B, and then today we'll focus on C for cholesterol, since it have to do with weight. And these are all silent drivers of health. So let's get into it. This is the moment where everybody wants to change until it's really time to change, right? Well, change is not magic, but change is a decision, right? And your heart, your blood pressure, your weight don't care about motivation. What it cares about is consistency. Consistency compounds, right? And also community. So the community you're in influences you. So our Caribbean community faces rising obesity, higher cholesterol, as we know. Metabolic syndrome is 1 in 3 people have metabolic syndrome. And that's just not in in our community. It's actually all over the world now. So January is the window where the mind is open, and we could do this psychology reset today. So let's open up that opportunity. So your heart is the first to feel your habits. Just remember that. So think about that. Weight gain, it strains your heart. All right. If we were not created to have such a large body, what happens is the heart have to work now harder, and it's on a strain. Blood pressure rises when we take too much, when we have stress and we have salt. We know salt affects arteries and inflammation and our energy. But when we take a look, many people come to me and say, oh, listen, I am healthy, fat person. I'm okay, right? And so we say, yeah, this is great. But what does science have to say about that, right? So when we look at the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, 2017, we just took normal, healthy people. They don't have any diabetes, none of the ABCs. So no diabetes, no blood pressure, no hypertension, I should say, and no dyslipidemia or hypercholesterolemia or cholesterol problems, right? So we take them and we compare them to obese, metabolically healthy, means they don't have the ABCs either. So your ABCs could be negative, means everything is normal, but you are overweight and you're obese. But look at what happens, right? Track these people over time, and what do we get? Well, almost 50% of them have coronary heart disease. That's blockages in the arteries, even if they don't have any of the ABCs. So they're not a diabetic, not hypertensive, and the cholesterol is normal. Wow. Isn't that amazing? Well, up to 96%, I would say almost 100% of them go on to have heart failure. So this proves the point that having that extra weight is putting stress on your heart to cause it to fail. And when we talk about failure, we'll talk through in the year, we'll talk about kidney failure, we'll talk about liver failure, we talk about lung failure as in COPD, well, and there's brain failure called dementia. But this is heart failure, where the heart fails when the body is oversized. So something to bear in the back of your mind what the goal is. In fact, when you look at this NIH website, every 10 years of having overweight on board actually puts your body at risk. For every decade of life that you define as obese, puts a strain on the heart. So up to 3 times the risk of having heart disease. So just think about that also, every decade of life. In fact, we learn that obesity rise is not just about looks. So forget about looks on the outside, because we sort of normalize looks. But look at obesity. It carries one of the worst metabolic diseases with it. So as you trend obesity, we can also see in this heat map that diabetes gets worse with time. So yes, obesity brings with it the metabolic syndrome, which brings with it diabetes in a exponential growth manner, and every decade we keep seeing worse. What are we seeing now in the Caribbean? So that's the American map. What about the rest of the world? What about in our own where we started in the Caribbean population? Well, the press coverage shows a pandemic in Trinidad, and the Caribbean is exploding. All right. I mean, it's just so this is UNICEF, which looks at children's health for the first time, right? Obesity exceeds, right, those who are actually malnourished or underweight. Think about that. So we're not looking at starving kids anymore. But when they look at the 191 countries, 6 Caribbean countries were ranked in the top 20 for unhealthiest. And when you look at them, it's where I'm from, Trinidad, you have Jamaica, you have Dominican Republic, you got St. Lucia, you got Barbados, you got Haiti. So we're all in this together. Okay, this is a pandemic. It's actually all over the world. And so you have the World United Nations, you got the University of the West Indies, all these health forums being involved. But I want us now simplify this so that we can digest this sort of holistic knowledge and bring awareness. So just to simplify it, over half of the world is affected by obesity. We know why. It's because we stop exercising, we stop moving more, right? The average person does about 3,000 steps a day. Think about that. We average does about 3,000 steps a day when we should really do at least 3 times that, right? So think about it, check your steps. And when you go home, you see that if you fall in the average or do you fall above average? Some people are doing 20,000 steps, but it's really coming from what the processed foods that we eat. But this is a very important slide that's going to be the foundation for the rest of the slide. So we get fat. So big deal. We have fat now on board. But this is the clincher. This is where it really hurts. This excess fat tissue generates a continuous exposure to inflammatory mediators. So it's like being tagged. Like when we used to play catch and somebody tag you, now you're it. And now when you have those fat cells, it is continuously secreting these cytokines while you sleep, while you're awake, while you're continuing to do your work. And so I want you to think about those extra pounds, and that's what the goal is to get rid of. And so that is going to be the goal of today, is that we want to focus on fat as the enemy, that having obesity is not helping us, it's not helping our kids, it's not helping the next generation. And we want you not to normalize it and think that it's okay. So what is really obesity? Sum up, these fat cells, as I emphasized before, these fat cells are very, very destructive. Number one, they grow. And number two, they secrete inflammatory mediators. Even when you think you're resting at night and you're getting your 8-hour sleep, your body is being attacked by these inflammatory mediators. So I want you to think about it in that way. And we talk about it inducing diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and even cancers now, which again are the 2 top leading causes of why we're here today to have these conversations and webinars. So we look at our body was not created. When we look at thousands of years ago, we didn't really have inflammatory foods. We had non-inflammatory foods until just in this last century is when processed foods started cropping up. And this is the century of destruction of our health. Never ever have we seen such destruction from processed foods in our life that's leading to metabolic syndrome and cancers. And so now you will hear the term food is medicine. Now, not the food, inflammatory food is medicine. Healthier food, non-inflammatory food is medicine. We're going back to square one, and that's being pushed, but we don't want to be left out. We don't want our communities to be the last to adapt this. As you can see, obesity is spreading everywhere. So stuffing our faces with high calorie, empty nutrients in our bodies, and look at where it's coming from, right? We traded convenience. We're all guilty of this. We traded convenience. Hey, it takes, what is it, 4 minutes to run into, Taco Bell to pick up a meal. Chick-fil-A, I think this order has been reversed now. I think Chick-fil-A is leading the way since they saw that they were sort of last in the top 10. Just to show you, they're competing for our attention, time, and convenience with processed foods, all right? And so this is where it's all coming from. And this is what I call the failed experiment. Forget about us. What about our kids? So just within the last, our lifetime, 40 years, 10-fold increase in childhood obesity. 10 times, not twice, 3 times, 10 times. And you can see how kids 5 to 19 years old are 10 times obese. And that's not just in the Caribbean or in America. You can see here on my left here, this is women, and this is men, and this is girls, and this is boys. So you can see tracking in the leading position, women are more obese, and this is on planet Earth, all continents, Latin America and Caribbean is in green, okay? And so high income Western countries like America, we are in blue, all right? So clearly it's really not discriminating in any way. It's everyone is affected, and everyone have to understand that this is something that is of, when you compare to before, it's a 10 times increase in the amount of obesity we're seeing, not just in adults, but also in kids, male boys more than females. Now, the American Heart Association came out with this new scientific statement, said, this is nutrigenomics. It's a new field where it's looking at how nutrition affects our DNA, right? How it interacts with our DNA. And that's a very powerful, and I even mentioned, microbiome, which is supposedly a growing field. But basically what it's saying is what we eat gets multiplied by the bacteria, which are trillions in our gut, and they can work for us or they can work against us. So imagine having trillions of bacteria work for you, and that's a good leverage. But if you eat the wrong food and those trillions of bacteria work against you, this yellow stuff here, this buildup in plaque, is exactly the big problem. And that's where we talk about knowing your numbers. This is the same plaque that causes heart attacks, that causes strokes. Well, it basically affects every single blood vessel in our body. And today we're really talking about cholesterol. So this just came out hot off the press just November last year, 2 months ago, where many people don't even know that they have a genetic risk factor for high cholesterol. Now they're talking about screening for cholesterol when you're 20 years old. Did I have my cholesterol checked when I was 20 years old? The answer is no, right? And so now we have to start aggressively. So that's part of the C for cholesterol checking, that we're talking about ABCs. Well, why we need to do C? We can't leave C out. We talk about A1C, well, blood, but this is cholesterol now. So why weight matters for your heart? We showed you where increased weight increases the heart workload that then pushes the heart into heart failure. Almost 96% of patients end up with a heart failure. Fat around the organs causes inflammation. Just having fat on board, it just secretes that inflammation continuously into our bloodstream. And sleep issues worsen this sort of weight gain. So again, this blob of fat is what the whole rest of the talk is all about, and is the enemy of what we're trying to combat here in January 2026, in the beginning of the year, so that we can have a strong start and how we're going to attack this by awareness. We talk about how stress amplifies all of the chronic diseases, and stress is everywhere in our jobs. So then we add some stress in the Caribbean community. You're talking about migrants, you're talking about New York City, the melting pot. Stress is the ultimate multiplier. And it's not just for adults that I'm concerned with anymore. It's also for kids being called fat. That's very stressful. When, teasing kids, bullying them, right? I mean, this is very stressful. That can affect them for the rest of their life. So last month, we discussed how bad stress was to your health and your body and ways to decrease that stress. But today we want to talk about this cholesterol. Well, what else does obesity lend itself to? And we're now finding this out, but this is now a disaster because overwhelming data is showing that just being overweight, not just obesity, but overweight can lead to up to 13 to 15 different cancers. So we have to think about kids growing up, getting obesity, and what is their outcome for cancers, and when would that screening start? So we're seeing now that even screening for colon cancer is now happening under 50 years old. We're getting younger and younger colon cancer incidents. So we're seeing these trends and we're tracking it. And just remember, that's why we're having these webinars. We're having these webinars to highlight two leading causes, 30 million deaths every year. And for us, the cardiovascular disease, we talk about ABC, and the S is for screening for cancers. It's that simple. It's really that simple. ABCs. ABC will take care of the cardiovascular, and then the C will be for cancer. And today it's about weight. So why healthy weight matters for your heart? I think I emphasized that enough. But what it also emphasizes the metabolic syndrome. And medics, just by losing 10 to 15 pounds, we've seen patients decrease their blood pressure, come off, diabetes medications. It's like light and day. You just got to start. You got to make the decision. And we're going to show you how to do those habit steps as we get towards the end of this talk. Now, what are we really buying when we purchase these wrong foods? The failed experiment, right? We must stop it, right? So chronic, we look at this fat, it's secreting all of these downstream inflammatory markers. And what is it doing? It's destroying our heart. It's causing, blockages. It's destroying our immune system, but it's also causing cancer. It's also causing kidney disease. Chronic kidney disease has now become one of the most common illnesses in the world. 80 million people, almost 1 billion people, that's 10% of the world population now suffer with different stages of kidney disease. Again, another pandemic coming up and rising. So why does this matter for our Caribbean communities? Is because I think we cannot build dialysis centers fast enough to accommodate all these different kidney problems, right? So it's a high rate of hypertension, diabetes, and the number one cause of why people on dialysis is diabetes. Second leading cause is hypertension. So when you add those up, this is what we're seeing, a domino effect. So in the Caribbean, we know that we have these silent killers, and we don't want to sugarcoat it, but excess weight is hurting our communities. Hypertension is robbing our families, and diabetes is also taking limb, eyes, dreams away. So my goal for you is to get to 0 risk factors. Today, no other time in history can we say that we have all the technology and all the medications to get rid of these risk factors. We can get our A1C to normal. We can get our blood pressure to normal. We can get our cholesterol down to normal numbers. We could even lose weight faster. You see all these movie stars losing weight. You can lose 100 pounds, 200 pounds. So we have the technology today more than ever to get the risk factors off of us and get a new start, boost our start. So the framework we always use, ABCs, today is going to be cholesterol focus. These are the numbers. Again, you can take the QR code. This video will be streamed, and you can get a copy. But just want to make sure your numbers, when you go to the doctor, you ask to get your cholesterol check, you get your A1C check, and you reference it to just be in the normal range. LDL less than 100, HDL higher than 60, and your cholesterol lower than 200. Now, metabolic syndrome. We keep saying this word metabolic syndrome. What does it mean? What does it matter? Why is it important? Well, it's one of the most reversible conditions. Yes, reversible means we can get rid of it. It's that little pouch of, belly, right? And it comprises of 5 different things. All you have to have is 3. So obesity is one of them. And that's why obesity is on this talk today, because obesity is a high risk factor for one of the metabolic syndromes. So obesity is one of them. So could we have metabolic syndrome and not be obese? Could we be skinny and a normal weight and not have the metabolic syndrome? Of course, because obesity is only one of the 5. So you can have a high cholesterol, high glucose, high blood pressure, high LDL. And so we see here that people with a normal weight, no obesity, but have metabolic syndrome, have the highest mortality compared to somebody who is heavy and have a lot of weight and no metabolic syndrome. They eventually have heart failure, but they don't have metabolic syndrome by definition. So I want you to remember that. And so it doesn't discriminate if you're obese or not. So that's why I empower everyone to get their ABCs checked and get your screening for cancers checked, because we just don't know by looking at you whether or not you're really healthy or not. Okay, so 1 out of 3 people in the US are affected by metabolic syndrome. Of course, as we get older, 85% of people with diabetes have it, and it's linked to obesity. So now we ask the question, these are myth. I need to exercise hard to lose weight, right? So what is the fact? Weight loss is 80% nutrition, because I have a mailman and he's like 300 pounds. So he gets his steps. He gets like I would say he gets more steps than anybody else, 30,000 steps a day. Because he has to actually come out of his car to walk to my door to put my mail. It's not just drive and hand in. And why is that? So 80% is nutrition. The question is, what does he eat after he finished work, right? So you see, that's how it works. You could go on a treadmill for an hour, and this ranges from 200 to 700 calories is all you're going to burn for 1 hour of intense treadmill, as if you're an athlete runner. All you have to do is cut your calories by 25% and get the same effect. So the power of what you eat is more powerful towards your weight. So everybody goes and join the gym January 1st. I want to know why. You can't outrun a bad diet. If the diet is not good, it doesn't matter how much you jog on that treadmill, you're not going to move your weight. It's 80% nutrition. Consistency is more important than intensity. So consistently eating well, consistently doing some things that I'm going to show you here next. So when we talk about the habit science, we look at the 3 to 6 months window. So I want you to be patient. Nothing is going to happen in the first month, okay? Depends on how dramatic you are, but nothing will happen in the first month. It's about repetition, it's about identity, and it's about the environment you're in. So stick with me on this about habits, because this is very powerful stuff. This is coming from James Clear, Atomic Habits, and that's how it's built. So we're going to talk about some small habits that you can do right now today. Small habits that can change the whole trajectory of 2026 for you. So let's start. Simple thing, just drink more water. As simple as it sounds. See, I got my water bottle everywhere, right? So you put and station your water bottle everywhere. So you have to get in 6 to 8 glasses of water. Why is that? Well, the human body is not made of soda, it's made of water, right? And look at the blood is 80% water, the brain is 75% water, your skin is your whole body is created with water inside your cells. And so to be efficient, your body needs that water continuously. So you have to give it what it needs. Okay, so before you go to bed, you got to drink a water. As soon as I get up in the morning, I drink a bottle of water. Driving to work, I drink. So you just have to keep hydrated. That is so easy to do. It's also so easy not to do. But you have to get it done because that's what your body needs. Not soda, water. Now, you're going to get water when you drink some coffee. Yes, you're going to get water when you drink your juices and stuff. But you got to do these small little habits. This is small habits that are going to have the biggest impact on your health. All right. And so the first one is drink more water. Second one, I'm going to tell you why, is that people don't understand that there are some compounds in our body that our body cannot make, and you have to get it in your diet. Okay. And those are called essential. Well, vitamin C, we don't have the ability to synthesize vitamin C. So when people get sick and they get the flu and they ate, a fruit once a week or something like that, you need to get vitamin C every single day. You need to give your body that vitamin C, that antioxidants. Our body don't have the enzymes to create it. It have to come from your diet. So if you eat processed food for breakfast and processed food for lunch and processed food for dinner, and you have no vitamin C, I want to know why you're getting sick so often. You gotta get it from natural food sources. So just to show you the why it's so powerful, the average American 1 in 10 eats enough fruits and vegetables to even classify as their daily dose. So I want you to focus now, getting away from this sort of fast food convenience and get into the grocery, get your fruits and vegetables in there. This is the mindset. This is the most beautiful slide, because this is what it's all about. If you can get 2 fruits and 3 vegetables in a 24-hour period, the talk is well worth it. Because that's what this is. In Europe, they have this 5 a day. You know, it's all about eating variety. And what does it look like? I want to show you down to itty-gritty what it looks like. I eat an apple a day because I have it in my office and it's right on my desk. So I have to eat it every day. An apple a day. That's one fruit down. All I have to eat is one more. I eat a pear, you know, when I get home. That's my 2 fruits for the day. But it has to be consistent. Consistent means every single day. I'm telling you to eat more. I'm not telling you to starve. Eat more. And then the vegetables have to be 3 vegetables a day, and simple things like carrot, cucumber, you know, something to snack on, bell pepper, but it should be part of your dinner, something part of your meal. So you just got to fill your plate with vegetables. So moving on to mind, body, spirit, the Caribbean reset. You know, mental health shapes our behavior. And without good mental attitude and strength, it really hurts us, right? So mental health is central to weight and habit formation. So you can't form good habits if you really can't focus, and so it really comes down to getting sleep. And people don't understand that sleep repairs the mind and metabolism. It was meant to spend that 8 hours of rest is when your body repairs itself. It repairs the DNA. And so, but it also, mind, body, and spirit brings me into this context of looking at our social connections. And so this is New England Journal, and they look and ask the question, what relationships help to increase the risk of obesity? And this is by percent, 100%, 200%, 300%. The most highest risk of someone having obesity is if they have a mutual friend that's also obese with them. So I'm sure you heard this already, but here's the literature on it, is that if you have someone who, if you hang out in circles that is a little bit heavier, it gives you permission to also be like that. The only one that had the opposite effect, and maybe a little bit funny, but is if you have a friend of the opposite sex that is slimmer than you, that would encourage you to lose a few pounds when you meet that person. So I encourage that. Now, what is healthy on the shelf that you can go into a grocery store right now today and just pick up from the shelf in your grocery cart and say that this is something healthy enough? So we talk about water for sure. Pick up, you know, spring water, whatever water, but just have healthy water. And the second thing is you have to read the labels well, but it has to be low sodium, you know, tomato juice, low sodium, no salt added to any of these things. And look at the labels, you'll see it have no salt at all in these juices. So this is another way of getting some of that vitamins and minerals and healthier foods. Now we're going to move to, when we look at top antioxidants foods out there, prunes, and that's why I mentioned prune in this slide here. Prune juice is still a favorite. All right. And so you should still get at least a small little cup, half cup of prune juice a day. And why is that? When you do these lab tests, and this is from the USDA, you can see the oxygen radical absorbance capacity. That's the, you know, ORAC score. It tells you how much these foods are antioxidants to scavenge free radical in our body. And you can see prunes come as number 1. So don't throw away prunes yet. That's still a top in terms of antioxidant foods. The rest in this chart is a lot of seasonings and a lot of herbs, cinnamon, ginger, oregano, cloves, curry powder, right? So these spices are very powerful antioxidants that can help replace the salt that we're putting in our food and the excess sugar, just to show you what you can do. Again, these are all habits I'm teaching you here. Get a grocery list and focus on it. Don't deviate from the grocery list. Don't go in the bakery section and start loading up on the donuts, right? Focus on these grocery lists. I focus on the Mediterranean diet, and you can look at this here and you can say, okay, vegetables, fruits, and grains, and nuts and seeds. That's what I'm going to the grocery for. And you make sure, and this is what you're going to shop for, nothing else. Okay, you get your water, you get your juices, but you load up and eat more of these specific food groups. And again, it fills that healthy plate that we always talk about. Half the plate should be fruits and vegetables, and you got your whole grains. And when we look back at 195 countries, we said again that a diet low in grains, fruits, nuts, and seeds were the leading cause of why people died. And a high diet in sodium is what's killing us. So that's across many continents. So get on your myplate.gov. myplate.gov website through this QR code. And it's a very interactive site, gives you a grocery list of what you can take literally to the grocery store to get. Very good. And now what you see today, and I see, this is more recent. You're seeing brown rice I even saw black rice and purple rice. I never even know that that existed. But grains are coming back because of this article that was published. Here it is. You get your Uncle Ben's that making whole grain, and you got to look for this label. This label is very specific and put out by the FDA that it have to say whole grain. All right, so you can see all the choices you have. So it's not like before. So instead of frying, your meats, try and grill or bake to decrease the amount of fat. Macaroni and cheese, again, try and see if we can switch that out with roasted vegetables. Make these swaps, these healthy swaps for January and at least for the next 3 months. Okay, try and be creative with it. Instead of white rice, which is refined and processed, many times taking away all the grain from it, move to brown rice with grain. Get away from the soda. Just make these small little habit changes. I'm not telling you to make big changes here. Just small habit change, please, one at a time. Okay, is all we're asking for on each of these. Again, we have all the different diets out there. Mediterranean come out as #1 every year. It's always #1 for heart health. And then we have the DASH diet, which was implemented for high blood pressure and for cholesterol. Again, all of them emphasize the same thing: vegetables, fruits, whole grains. Limit these things. And what I want you to do is just do one every month. Just limit one every month. So what does that look like? Cut out the salt this month. That's it. Just work on that only. Okay. We can't multitask when we're trying to do something well. So just cut out the salt. Next month, February, cut out the sweet. Okay. 3rd month, you should already cut out the sugar because we did this talk already. For diabetes, you shouldn't be drinking sugar. And then you cut out each of these things every single month. So by the time you're 5 months into it, your metabolic state is going to be much more healthier. Now, even minor stress can impact long-term health. And we've seen this many times. When you're stressed out, what it does, it causes us to crave food. So most Caribbean, Americans in New York, they underestimate the effect of stress and sleep, getting enough sleep. So when we don't sleep for more than 6 hours, what happens? Our cravings skyrocket. We get hungry in the middle of the night. We're eating potato chips, right? Hunger hormones go up. And then our metabolism slow and our blood pressure rises. So it's this cortisol effect. And so we see this constantly like, oh, how come we can't lose weight? Well, it's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. So you got to get your sleep in. Even the American Heart Association used to be 7 simple life, mandatory things we had to do to have a healthy life, but they had to put sleep in there. After a decade of research showed that sleep was actually, it's a multiplier to help all the other metabolic pathways work well. Without sleep, you basically cannot repair your health. So focus on that. The next thing that the habits taught us was, it's not just about reset, it's about identity. I want you to say that you're becoming the person who eat healthier. It's who you want to start identifying yourself as that person. I am becoming someone who eats healthy. I am becoming someone who moves daily. I am becoming someone who prioritizes my health. I put it as a priority. #1 is now my health. For the next 3-4 months, as you go through these changes and drinking more water and having a healthier grocery cart, this is what I want you to start saying to yourself every day. Identity, who you are, okay? And you become a person that track progress and make these small habits because that's where it's at. So again, it's all about combating the leading cause of death, and is why we're here. Now, everybody always asks about these new drugs. All of my patients are on it, coming for open heart surgery. So I know it's rampant out there. It's the fastest growing area, GLP-1 medications, right? And science is out there. This has been around for many years, and it's proven the test of time, but clearly it works. And again, it does reduce hunger and cravings. It supports early weight loss. So patients are actually losing weight tremendously, and it's great. But it's supposed to be, as I always said, take your medications for your blood pressure, for your diabetes, for your cholesterol until the habit sticks. So until you get a good habit. So if you stop taking these GLPs and you go back to gaining weight, it's because you haven't made your habit stick. So that's a very important point. You got to give your habit time to stick, and then yes, you can come off these medications. So it improves HDL, it lowers triglycerides, it reduces inflammation. Today we're living in a time where Hopefully this will get approved by all insurances. Everybody can afford it, just like every other medication. But this is a game changer for losing weight. No longer you have to undergo surgery unless you're really super obese to undergo surgery for bariatric surgery. This is now the first line therapy to lose 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds easily. So get your walking going because you need to get some sort of movement going. Walking after a meal is the most important thing because as you get that glucose spike after a meal, you see that your glucose goes up. That's the time that your muscles want to use the glucose, so your body never sees the spike. So after a meal is the best time to go for that walk, not between the meal when your glucose is going down, because then you get tired, right? So when you do it, timing is crucial. You want to go out and get that walk after a big meal. Okay, so take the family out for a walk. They say sitting is the new smoking. And where do we stand? All we have to do is 30 minutes of walking a day or 5 times a week. So we're not saying to do 150 minutes in one day, although you can do that, but just start small. Small habits makes big changes. But consistency, not intensity, is who's going to win, right? So we want to do more home cooked meals. Ground provisions is the best carb. Fish and plant-based traditions that we're used to. Yes, moving more, going dancing, walking, swimming, and add vegetables to every single plate. I think that is a habit we just have to get back to, and adding a vegetable in every plate. And don't say we don't have vegetables. When you look at the Caribbean, we got tons of vegetables to choose from. We got tons of fruits to choose from. So we're not limited by that. And varying the color of it also helps because each color has its different phytonutrients in there. And this is the real health benefit of eating fruits and vegetables and making it a variety. So getting your risk to 0 is the goal. When looking at studies, looking at each of these risk factors, when you look at each of these risk factors, this is showing you don't have any risk factor at all. You can easily live and survive to 80, 85, 90 years old. Once you start having 1 or 2 or 3 major risk factors, it exponentially increases your lifetime risk of not living very healthy. So we want to emphasize every risk factor counts. And so the first thing to do is get on your phone, make an appointment, find out what your ABCs are, start drinking water, start drinking some juice, and get those risk factors. This is a study that just look at cutting just 200 calories, 25% of your calories, just by cutting that down immediately within 6 months, you see already a BMI drop. Immediately, you see a drop in your blood pressure. Immediately, you see an improvement in the good cholesterol, right? All of these changes happen just within 6 months of just making a 25% calorie reduction. That's it. Small steps. They had to write a science article on this to prove that it worked. And it's real. So slow metabolism slows every decade of life. And so you just have to be aware of that. You want to get your sleep, cycle going well. And let's see if we can make these small changes. Drink some water before you even have your coffee. Okay, when you wake up after a night of sleep, your body is dehydrated because it never got any of that water that it needed, right? So just drink some water before you even have your coffee and so watch the difference. Stretch, do some jumping jacks, just move some more, just get some movements going. You don't need to go to a gym, all right? That's what I'm trying to say. You don't need to go to a gym and exert yourself, because if you don't do these simple steps and hydrate and eat healthier, I don't think gym is going to help you. Double your veggies, shrink that carb section on that plate. Try and eat small portion. Portion control is a word that we hear now. You got to get smaller bowls, portion control, hydrate, a lot of veggies. Just think about that over and over and over. All right. That's where the real change come from. Keep the flavor. I showed you how spices helps a lot. So you can spice up your meal. You don't have to pound salt into it. Water, bake, please bake and grill. Add colors to every single plate. And I'm being repetitive for a reason here, because we're trying to start strong. We're trying to make, if we don't start strong, you're gonna fizzle out in the next 3 months. So again, stop frying. right? Stop frying in oil. Do baking, do air fry, switch your white rice, get water, no more soda, switch these salted meats to fresh fish. Stop, try and eat a lighter meal in the evening. So when you go to bed at night, you're really sleeping. Your gut is sleeping, everything is sleeping. Your stomach is not all night long working to digest that big heavy meal that you just dropped down from the convenience drive-through. Okay, so these little steps is going to go a long way. Now, healthy heart checks, yes, go and get your blood pressure check, all your A1C and stuff check. Hydrate yourself and cut back on the salt. This is your list. All right. If you're going to start strong, eat earlier, get some better sleep, cut down on the sugar, starch, and salt that we talk about. Drink a lot of water, and try and get as much. This will be posted for you at the end in the video, so you don't have to make any notes. I put it as 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. I think the first 30 days is just to stabilize the routine. You got to get through the first 30 days. Then 60 days is really strengthening the routine. Use the GLP as a temporary measure, as a prop to start losing that weight. And once you pick up momentum, you're going to see how easy it is to keep it off once you get the habits in. So 30, 60, 90, just be patient. Don't just give up. We have resilience. The Caribbean community have a lot of resilience. We just have to know that it takes 3 months to make these habits stick. It's not going to be 1 month. So don't give up in a week. Please hang in there. All right. So let's make this a real, tradition. But remember, it's not just for you. It's a legacy for the next generation behind you. So again, to show you, the foundation is sleep and decrease your stress. Quality nutrition, move, and these medications I talk about, I'm going to hold you to it. It's only temporary until you get your habits in. Just steps for today. When you look at the blue zones where people live routinely to above 100 years old, look at what they always do. They always eat whole grains. Wow, look at that. The second leading cause of why people die was missing grains, but the people that live to 100 years old, they eat grains, right? They eat a handful of nuts a day, not 2 handfuls or 10 handfuls, just 1 handful of nuts a day. It's like a seed nutrition. It provides seed, beans, 1 cup of beans per day. This is what they always do. When you break it down, why people live to 100 years old, and look at fruits and vegetables, 5 to 10 servings. You do this. That's the secret in the blue zones. People are already doing it on all continents. And so all we have to do is copy what they do. We're not saying invent the wheel, right? We're just saying copy what they do. So your action step, know your ABCs, get your screening done. You see this picture here? Get your apple, get your shoes, get your water, and get moving. So there's a lot of resources. We're going to post this up on the website. And this will be an email address that you could email us and ask any questions that is unclear if you don't get your questions answered on this chat. And I thank you very much for your time. Let's start strong. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Beckles. That was amazing. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
A lot of good stuff there. I was scribbling away, taking my notes as well. So I appreciate you.
It's a tape session. You have
I know, that's the nerd in me, I guess. All right. And thank you everyone for hanging with us, for staying with us for the entirety of the session. I would like to open the floor now. If anyone has any questions for Dr. Beckles, feel free to raise your hand and unmute, and we'll gladly get those questions answered for you. Anyone with questions?
I know this was a very intense session, but it was important to start off the year strong. Normally, we don't go this long in our sessions, but I think this is important that we get the foundation out.
Very good. While everyone is chewing the information over, I do have a question for you, Dr. Beckles.
Yes.
As you mentioned, vitamin C is high on the priority list here. What are your recommendations, or actually, what are your thoughts on those that may live in food deserts, that may not have access to, fruits and vegetables, or halfway decent quality fruits and vegetables? What are your thoughts on OTC supplements? Are those a good alternative, or?
Right. So absolutely. I think being aware that our body cannot make vitamin C, having no vitamin C is not an option, right? So we have to get some vitamin C. So yes, Obviously, if zero vitamin C or getting a supplement, that will help, no doubt. What's the best thing is always all natural, right? So clearly you have this different range. None is unacceptable. And so people don't realize and they're not aware that their body's not making vitamin C. So if they don't get vitamin C in today, they don't realize that they just went all day without vitamin C, right? So yes, there are food deserts everywhere, but again, we don't have to. We have to be. These things are seasonal. I showed you all the fruits and vegetables that are in season, and so everybody, although they're these, pockets of deserts out there, I think it's still possible to get vitamin C from something that's in season. That's where the all natural, Mother Nature made it. Is just something is in season. All right, something is in season. That's where your vitamin C sits. All right, so not because it's not, you don't have it right now on the shelf, you have to look for it. Okay, now we talk about fruits. Now people go to these juice places and they buy these juices and they start juicing these fruits. But what happens is when you drink a big mug of juice, we're not saying to go and drink this big mug of juice to have vitamin C in it. What you're doing is you're drinking liquid glucose, right? God, natural nature made us to eat the fruit itself. So if you cut the orange in four and you eat that, the juice comes out slowly as the fiber is the most important part. So in these juice machines, you throw away the fiber. That is the most important part you're throwing away because your body needs the fiber. We need the fiber in order to slow down the absorption of this high glucose that you're trying to take in. So small cup of orange juice is your limit to getting juice. In fact, that's when you talk about 5 a day, you can't just drink 5 cups of juice and say, okay, that's it, I got my 5 a day. No, whoa, hold on. You got to read it well. You only get to count 1 little cup of juice as one of those 5 a days. The rest have to be fiber in the juice, right? So it slows down the transit of absorption of the glucose, thereby making it very healthy for you and not causing diabetes. If you just drink the pure juice by itself, that is pure glucose. Yes, that is like you're just worsening your diabetes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I believe Mr. Davis has a question. His hand is raised.
So you mentioned the importance of sleep, and I recognize that. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between getting that good night's sleep, or for those who not get the good night's sleep, it's 8 hours, but the benefits of the 8 hours versus maybe you're having 4 or 5 hours, but then napping during the day.
Right. So absolutely. So our body was made to in such a way that, I think the longest person went without eating for like 300 and something days, right? But you cannot go without sleep, right? So sleep is a critical component of how we actually evolve, right? That we have to get that, sundown to sun up, right? So 7 to 8 hours, it's mandatory. And what does the body do during that time, right? What does it do during that time? That's the time it actually takes to repair itself, right? So it's like a battery charging, or if you have your iPhone, when you're charging your iPhone, it's recharging itself. So the body doesn't have a battery. The battery is our natural capacity to repolarize our cells and get the sodium back in and the potassium back in and get ready for the next day. And so that's throughout our entire body from head to toe, is that repolarization, that healing. That's when we shut off our brain and stop stimulating our cells and telling the brain to use all your energy now to rest and to get rid of all the toxins and everything else and work on really getting rid of all the inflammation. Now, quality of sleep is very important. What you're talking about is sleep medicine. It's very important. People have a hard time sleeping. It's basically a disease in itself. It's an illness. When we talk about that, I think the last time someone said that they couldn't get sleep, and I asked them if they had a television, in their bedroom. That's called sleep hygiene. You have to have a certain criteria before your body feels natural to fall asleep. Okay. Some people have music and it's a natural sort of music. It's what, the brain that we have here has been around for 10,000 years, right? I mean, it has been around for thousands of years. The brain haven't changed. The environment is what changed. right? And so, before lights was even invented, we were around and sleeping well and getting good sleep to get up the next day to go hunting, and that's what got us here. Now, when we start putting things in our environment, a noisy environment, we have iPhones. This blue light from our iPhone stimulates our brain to stay up for an extra hour. So when you turn your phone off, your brain is still lit because it sees that blue light. The blue light was made to stimulate the brain to wake up and go hunt and go to work. So that's why they say get rid of blue light before 4 hours before sleep, up to 4 hours. It actually, science shows that blue light exposure keeps the brain active because that is the activator for the brain. The brain doesn't know any better. The brain doesn't know that you're checking emails and it's important for you. All the brain knows is blue light activates me and I'm activated now. It's a switch and you turn it on and you think you can just close that and turn it off. No, you already activated it, right? So it's the little awareness and steps to take to sleep well. Now, when you think you're sleeping at night, let's say you have dental cavities, let's say, you just ate a big meal of processed foods and your stomach is full. You just had a big whatever, right? And so you think you're sleeping? No, your gut, your trillions of bacteria, not one, trillions of bacteria is actually going to work now to start working. You just telling your body not to sleep. So then you get up exhausted in the morning and you're like, why am I so tired? Guess why? You weren't resting. You hit your body with a big meal just before you put your 8 hours of sleep, and you want to know why you're not getting good sleep. So that's why I put there, you have to go to bed early, take your last meal earlier, 6 o'clock, not 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. You got to eat earlier and stop eating before you go for resting. So you got to give yourself a good 4 hours of good, drink some hydration, eat a slice of apple, eat an orange, something in the evening before you hit that bed to go to bed, and hydrate before you go to bed, rather than putting a big meal and telling your body, okay, I give that to you. So it's like saying I'm closing the office for work, but I'm leaving people inside there to do work while I'm gone.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
It's like, wait a minute, you're shutting it off or you're turning it on? You're turning it on when you stuff your face with that stuff and your stomach is now full. Your body got to go to work. You can't just let the food sit there. You don't want to wake up the next morning and the food is still there, right? The body doesn't know what time it is. All it knows is it's seafood. It's going to start all the enzymes, turn the factory back on.
Yeah.
It turns the factory back on. You're like breakfast. People are doing as if, that last meal of the day is like a breakfast.
Thank you.
And it compounds over time. Over time. So these are just small steps. It's common sense. But common sense is not that common, but we do it all the time. We make these big mistakes. And I hope to bring that up. We'll have talks on sleep. We'll have talks on all these topics that we're going to highlight this and pound this in. We'll have everybody sleeping by the end of next year.
We're giving ourselves 1 year to make that happen. That sounds like a doable timeline. All right. Pauline, will you please unmute yourself? What is your question for Dr. Beckles?
Yes, trying to unmute myself here. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Beckles. This is Pauline Ski, nursing supervisor, as you know, from downstate. Before I ask my question, I just want to commend you again on the very great work that you continue to do. Having known you and know the gift of God in you, I am indeed again impressed. You continue to work, and you continue to work not only in the hospital, but you reach out to us because I really think you genuinely love us. And I just want to thank you for the talk tonight, even though I think I'm slim, not to take my slimness for granted. That's what I get tonight. Yes. and stop getting up at 1 a.m. for food. And it makes such a big difference in the life that we live. I want to thank Horace for the invite, but I want to ask you, now that I do church and all of that, I will invite my church folks to the next meeting that we have. But as I want to push out on the GLP medication, which sounds good to my ear, I want to push it out there. And I'm like, the first question they're going to ask me, what's the major side effect? And I'm like, you see your patients out there. So let me put the questions to you. What are you seeing with this medication? Which sounds really good for our community.
Right. So you have to take it as directed, right? And so it starts off a very small dose, right? And so you start off with, I mean, every one, they're like 10 different types, so we can't even start, but every one of them comes with directions. You have to follow the directions. So I think people have a hard time following directions. They take a big dose and then they feel they feel as if they want to throw up. Nausea and vomiting is the most common side effect of any of these medications, right? And so it's because the dosage that they took was wrong. And so just start small, tiny, and it's like I said, almost all my patients are on it because that's part of coming for open heart surgery. You're coming down this sort of funnel from obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and leading all the way to open heart surgery. So you're already on that pathway. So many of patients are already on it. And the most common side effect is having that nauseous feeling. I would say a second side effect, which is not a side effect, is that people want to stay on it forever. And that's what I call a side effect because they're missing the whole point. The point is not to stay on it forever. The point is to take this time now to lose the 20, 30 pounds, right? Looks great, feels great, awesome. Right now, where's the habits? The habits were supposed to be implanted. And that's why it's important to coach them alongside with a nutritionalist at the same time they're getting these medications.
Okay.
But people are just taking it without going to a nutritionalist because they believe they know what to eat. And so you have people now that are taking processed foods with that, losing the weight, but then filling their bodies with these empty calories. And that's not what's recommended.
Not
And
intended.
that could actually hurt them because now they have pure cholesterol, pure fats. I mean, it's just like, what are you doing? You're putting poison with, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
they're not following the directions. That's the side effect. It's misused.
Yes. Great info. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Beckles. And thank you for your question and praise, Pauline. Now I have more to add to my introduction.
Thank you.
Dr. Beckles. I do believe we have a question in the chat. And for some reason, I'm having technical difficulties.
I can see the chat.
Can you see the chat?
Yeah, great info. Thank you. We have more guidance on structure and properly reading ingredients on food labels. What are the ABCs, the reading labels to maximize overall health? Yeah, so exactly. So the FDA have actually put in place these labels now, rules that you have to put in how much added sugar. So when you see sugar on any label, you will see, for instance, as an example, a can of Coke has whatever 38 grams of sugar, but it also says how much is added sugar. And so it also says 38 grams, right? So it means that 100% of the added sugar was put in there as the sugar. So it's how much sugar that they had to add to it. So now you see orange juice, right, with sugar, may have 12 grams of sugar, but the added sugar is 0. It means that they didn't have to add any sugar to it in order for it to have how much carbohydrates. And so reading those labels very carefully is part of that. You want to buy juices that have 0 added sugar. And I think if you look 5 years ago, everything had added sugar. And today they had to change everything because nobody's going to pick up anything now with sugar, right? And that's how health conscious we're getting. It's exponentially happening as the FDA made those rules. People are now reading the labels and saying, I'm not going to buy something with so much sugar. All right. Even my kids, they go and run and get the packet. They read it. They go, okay, I'm putting it back. Too much sugar. That's the kind of habit and legacy you want to leave, is that the next generation learns how to make those groceries by looking at the sugar. That's sugar content. Salt content, sodium. It's labeled as sodium, and every single thing have a sodium label. So you don't want to get something that's more than 5 to 10% sodium in it. All right. So because it adds up at the end of the day, and anything that's added sodium, just stay away from it. So get the low sodium, no sodium. Look for it. You're going to see the regular one, and you're going to see the one that says low sodium. Okay. And so it's meant for right-handed people. So it's always going to be, you're going to miss it. You have to look for it. And it's always on the bottom shelf, not on the top shelf, not at the eye level. All right. So look for those things. ABCs, the ABCs really mean just A1C, blood pressure, and cholesterol. That's not a label. That's just the test that you have to go for and ask your doctor for when you go to the for your annual checkup, to know what is your A1C for your diabetes, to see if you're pre-diabetic or if you're a real full-blown diabetic or if you're normal. And what your blood pressure is and the cholesterol, what we just talked about today, was about your triglycerides and your cholesterol level. They know what to get. They'll get the lipid panel and see what you need to do next. Because by knowing is half the battle. Just knowing.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, Pauline, you have another question for Dr. Beckles?
And Pauline, your hand is up.
No, that must be an error. I'm so sorry.
Very good.
The lower it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I do love what you said about the GLP-1s, that, we should start thinking about them as a way to gain momentum.
Just to
sometimes
start.
we hear that same thing around like antidepressants, gain momentum. And once you feel like you don't necessarily need that crutch.
Right. I think all medications should be like that. Just like we talk about, Eric Adams the last time, the previous New York City mayor, he wrote a book. So, it's out there that he was a diabetic. And yes, he was you have to start on insulin. He didn't leave the hospital without insulin. You have to be on some insulin, but now he's off the insulin, right? The goal is to use the insulin to stabilize your life, to stabilize your sugar, and then make the habits. And he came off his insulin. His A1C went from 11 or 12 down to 5, right? So you use that until is you. That until is your decision, your identity, what you're going to say you're going to do next, and say, I'm not a diabetic. Or am I going to say, I am a diabetic, my mom is a diabetic, I'm going to be a diabetic? Or am I going to say, I am not a diabetic, and then do everything in your power to prioritize it and make the change?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did read an article the other day that mentioned about 2/3 of the weight loss generally tends to come back if you did not change your habits within that time of taking the GLP-1s.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about just habit changing. It works great, but it's giving you time. And we want to, again, bring awareness. People think, oh, wow, it's great. What do I do next? No, wait a minute. It was meant to you to take time to get talks like this, get some help, get a coach, get into a community where everybody is, into health, right? Switch games a little bit and get a little bit more active, little steps, drink some water every day, make these little changes, drink a little bit more fruits, a little more, cut out some salt, get some more sleep, get that TV out of the bedroom, do those small steps, all right? And watch and see things improve. There's another question here on this chat. Are you seeing it, Ingrid?
Yes. Ingrid would like to know, what are your thoughts on aspartame in low-calorie drinks, especially since it's been linked to cancer in laboratory specimens?
I like that. You answer your own question. It causes cancer. Why you want to drink something that causes cancer when cancer is the second leading cause of death on planet Earth? You want to drink something that could give you cancer? Like, hello, right? I mean, hello. That's a no-no in my house, right? I mean, clearly, but people live by it, right? I mean, what's a little cancer between friends, right? A little chemotherapy here.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Beckles. I appreciate it. Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, I think we'll go ahead and we'll wrap up this series for tonight. Mr. Davis, is there anything that you would like to chime in before we call it quits?
I would just like to thank you, Ms. Mango, and Dr. Beckles. Fantastic job. This is great information. We'll share this information with the community, and we ask those that are on. This is an initiative that's going to take place every second Thursday of the month. And so look out for our next session in February, and please share it with friends and family. As you can see, this is just great information. We want to build the community up and focus on health. Make 2026 the year of, the best health possible. That's all.
All right, good luck and starting the 2026 off strong. This is it. You have the knowledge. Knowledge, is power, but you need action. It's really powerless without action. So the action is up to you now. So
all right.
Go do it.
All right, let's go.
Yay. Okay,
Right.
So in closing, I would like to say on behalf of Kasoni and Trinbago Progressive Association of the USA, we hope that you enjoyed our very first session of 2026. Again, spread the word. I hope this session inspired you or left you more inspired. And we look forward to seeing you all on the next session and I guess on a few more sessions in 2026. Thank you all
Next
for your
session is
time.
going to be on heart health. It's going to be intense. If you know anybody with heart disease, this is going to be the session to prevent the #1 killer. This is the big one.
Heart health. Very good. All right. Spread the word. And thank you guys all for your time and have a wonderful evening. Happy 2026, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye now.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Same to you.
Bye. Thank you for joining.
Okay,
Okay.
good. I don't think that we send this. I think, we send this out early, like last year, but I don't think we did reminders more recently. I think that was the drop in how much attendance we saw today. You know what I mean? I think the last time we did this, it was like a week before, and then we started intensely sending it out. And then so it was fresh in people's mind. I don't think we sent anything out intensely unless you guys did. You're muted. You're muted. Is he hearing me? Am I muted?
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I sent out because I was, trying to balance the holidays and,
Right.
New Year's, everyone gets a Happy New Year, Happy New Year. So even between Christmas and New Year's, I tried to
Right.
send something out then and, on social media. But I think that especially for those who attended before and we have the emails, especially a week before,
Right.
we probably didn't send out that reminder.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
That has been shown to increase, attendance, whether it's in, any kind of meeting. We
Mhm.
see junk mails all the time, right? Coming close to the event, they're like, in 24 hours, in 15 minutes, in 1 hour study, right? Jump on, right? That kind of thing.
But the text message should have gone out to folks that
Right.
registered.
Right.
But we'll get the flyer done early.
Okay.
I've spoken to a couple organizations. I'll follow up with Miss Skeen because she
Yeah.
was talking about inviting her church.
Right.
I believe what might help is to bring organizations on and across the bottom, let them feel as if this is their thing. They're sponsoring it. And so the Trinbago Casoni will remain, but I want to have and test out having their logo on and say that if you're going to be a part of this and you're sponsoring, we're expecting you to share this on your social media and we want for you to bring some folks there. And let's see what happens with the numbers. So I'm going to get the flyers early and then just have organizations, and I've got a few already that feel that they would like to, kind of own this to some extent. And the good thing is anyone who's registering, the information is coming to us. I'm not going to share or give away that information. But we would ask that they promote and bring folks, and we'll see what happens in February. But it'll be, and the topic is, as you said,
Heart health.
heart health.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So,
And I think the other thing too, it was just so early in the month.
Yep.
With the first being, so let's see.
People are still coming back from their New Year's
Yeah.
break.
it actually made me think, do we still host a series every month or every other month?
I think we got to keep the momentum for now. I mean, listen,
Okay.
the drop in attendance, don't look at that in any way. I think these things will come in, peaks and troughs, right? Number one. But number two is, sometimes it's about the quality of the person that comes on. Like, like Pauline come on, she could bring, 4 or 5 churches on, right? And so all you need is that one person that's going to, capture the whole, Brooklyn, something, right? I mean, so sometimes you just have to be patient and just go with it, and ride with it, and learn from it.
That's
I
okay.
definitely think that I didn't do a good job as reminders, because again, the holiday season, busy.
Yeah.
Things have been crazy here in the hospital working. This is the busiest time for us of the year. So I didn't even have time to even do anything. I mean, forget it.
Well,
I should have
with
done something this weekend.
I think with what you're doing, we will take care of that end. The second Thursday is going to be the 12th. So a little bit right before
Valentine's.
Valentine's Day, and not right at the beginning of the month. So I think
Right.
this gives us some good runway to
Right.
promote as much as possible and try to get folks to register. I think just coming out of the holidays, their heads were elsewhere.
Yeah.
But this was great. We have the recording, so I'll get any sort of cleanup that needs to be done and get it out.
Okay.
Right.
I did notice, Horace, and there are probably so many different factors as to why folks, didn't show up tonight, whatever the case may be. But when I was running late, I was like, okay, let me just hop on to Kasoni.com really quickly and register. But it wasn't on Front Street. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
But you have
I
to
was
go
like,
into the events.
it wasn't even under, like, when you hit events, it wasn't even under like current events. Like
It
the
should be.
the flyer for the last one was there, but
Okay.
not this, but not this particular one. So I was wondering, because I know it's the Health Series, Kasoni Health Series website that go to the register, but on your website itself, I was wondering if there could be like just a link at the top that says like Health Series, you
Okay.
know?
Let me work
that-
on that. There was an issue with the site itself. And with what you're saying, I'm wondering if that might have been an issue as far as being able to access it, because I do know that we put it on the site so that you could register in the events.
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is that I just wanted it to be more obvious
Mhm.
on the page. Like when I landed on the page,
Mhm.
who's Florence?
And we're not letting anyone on now, so
Okay. Um, so I just wanted it to be, it's just a suggestion, just to
yeah,
make it a little bit more obvious. Like, just even a little banner at the top that says Health Series, since this is something we're going
to
to be doing this
register.
month.
Okay, let
But
me
something that could be on every page or something, that it just like, this is like a big thing, like
Yeah.
you don't have to look for it.
so once you go to the site.
Yeah,
Right.
once you
Okay,
go
so
to the
we'll try
site,
to
I
work
mean,
on
I
it.
searched, I know it was like what we're doing in health or something like that. I clicked there and then it hyperlinked me to register for today's event, but I just thought it would be neat if it was a little bit more in your face, a little bit more obvious.
Yeah, definitely. We'll work on that. Okay.
Yeah. Um, just Kasoni.org. Just go to Kasoni.org
I
and
was
I can
trying to get that, trying to end somehow I got to end my,
the Zoom.
yeah, exactly. Come off my laser pointer is still working. Okay,
Okay.
here we go. So I can here we go, share that page. Here we go. Are you seeing it yet? Yeah, you're
Yeah,
seeing it.
I can see it. I can see
Right.
it.
So you see, this came from,
Yeah.
see, it's like twice stress, blood pressure. That's December. This is the other one here. This was back
Yeah.
in Men's Health, but I don't see the current one.
The reason the current one's not there
Right.
is I had an issue with the site and he updated it,
Right.
and he may have taken it back
Right.
before this was on.
So thanks
But
for sending that Zoom ID number, because I'm trying to find it on your site. That's how I went here.
yeah, I
I'm
put
trying to
the
register 2 minutes before the talk. I'm like,
Me
wait a
too.
minute,
I
what is
did the
the
same
Zoom?
thing. I did the same thing.
So I
Yeah.
went here to look for it, and I'm like, Kasoni.org. I'm like, where is it? Where is it? And I'm like, wait
Yeah,
a minute,
and
no
the
events?
fact that it's the same link that we're going to use, I'll talk to him about it. And
Right.
Yeah.
The
So
thing
again,
is,
if
we do
people didn't
want people to
see,
register though.
right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
there was
hoping that
nothing for
it's not,
January.
if this isn't on there, that's because of the issue that I was having with the site, because I told him I was hoping to get everything back up. Yesterday, it was corrupted in some way, and he was working on it to get it back up. So it
Right.
not being on there and front and center for this month, it was the issue that we had with the site.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, if people go there and they don't see anything for January, they must have thought that, hey, we're having a break for January.
No, but it was just a couple days ago because registration was on the site before.
Right.
And
Okay.
yeah.
All right. But yeah,
That's cool.
that would be my suggestion. Just like when you go to Kasoni.org, like the very first something that says web series, since it's a reoccurring thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna
And,
we'll work to get that done.
Thank you.
All
And
right.
I'm hoping that we can possibly get, each or maybe each webinar, but a few quotes or a few words of feedback so we can actually put it up there under the series, like this
Okay.
series was helpful, da 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 da, or
But here
whatever.
it is in the chat. You could take what's in the chat. People saying, great information. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could use their names though, but I mean, you could
Yeah.
put
Or maybe we can just use their
JP, like
initials.
you just put the initial JP, and you
Yeah.
could copy and paste this straight from the
Yeah.
chat.
I have someone that
That would be
from
cool.
an animation standpoint. So for next month, we're gonna put together something that when you send it out with music and background and everything like that, kind of pump it up so that
Bump it up.
yeah, we'll definitely get some help with that.
Okay. Well, I have to
All right.
take a screenshot before we go because you guys know I do put this on social media. So I have to take a screenshot of us. So everyone look happy. The last time I had to go through our video and find when we were all kind of still.
All right, so hold on. Okay.
All right, shift command. Okay, here we go. All right, got it.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you
All
guys.
right.
Good seeing you all.
All right. All
Take
right,
care.
getting ready
Looking
for the next
forward.
one.
We'll
Let's
be in touch.
start.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a
All
nice
right.
day.
Stay in touch, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Definitely.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.